This is CC. Welcome to the Orbit. It is Friday, April 12th. We've got stocks lower this morning. That follows the up day yesterday that took us up above the 5,200 level in SPX before closing right at that 5,200 level. The expected move coming into today was about 0.5% in either direction. We're actually down more than that. The last couple of days, we've been looking at these big round numbers as we seem to have hung out around the 5150 level for most of yesterday morning before making a run late day up to 5200. We have a few reasons why people are selling stocks this morning that we'll get into. But we are pulling back. We didn't get as low as the 5150 level, 5160, let's call it, on that open. We are up a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see which is the center of gravity, which pulls stocks if we don't have any more news today. What's the center of gravity? Is it back up towards 5200? Or do we just settle down at 5150? And of course, if that 5150 scenario were to happen and we did not hold there, then that's where the market could get ugly today. Now, most of the news of the market, we have some Fed speak today, but most of the news of the market is now behind us, known news, and I'll get to that in a second. So we had JP Morgan, we had Citi, we had Wells Fargo, we had BlackRock all report this morning. Let's just go to JP Morgan right now. This is one of the reasons why the market is down today. JP Morgan down about 3.7% on the day to start the day. And that is a little bit more than what options were pricing. Options were pricing about 3.25% move. We've got Citi, which is actually up on the day. That's up almost 2%. That is inside its expected move, which was more around 3%. And then we've got Wells Fargo is basically unchanged. It's down 0.7%. It's kind of been a little bit all over the place this morning. So we have those three large institutions. We have them kind of going in different directions. Wells Fargo down slightly, JP Morgan down pretty significantly, at least more than the expected move. And then we have Citi to the upside. Now, going back to the SPX, what does that mean for today? An expected move is about 0.6%, which is showing that pop in volatility. You can see that IV is nearly 30 up here in the top right corner next to that expected move. And just a heads up, the way this works is if I were to come out for a month on this chart is showing the IV and the expected move out here to the end of this chart, but then I can use my finger and I can hover and see at any one of these points, which are all expiries. And of course, SPX has daily expiries. And you can see the different, you can see the levels of where that corresponds to in the past. But that's to answer a question of how this top line loads. It's based upon those big dots on the end is what we're looking at. So back to 0DTE, we've got levels of a 5,200 to the upside and 5,140 to the downside. We're talking about the known news in the market. So the unknown news in the market, although it has been a rumor floating around the market for the last several days, is that there might be a retaliatory strike by Iran on Israel. And that has the oil markets and everything. You can check in on Raytheon and all the usual suspects of how stocks react to that kind of rumor. The U.S. State Department has said they're pretty certain that something like this is going to happen. So this has, you just look at USO, it's up 2% already. And let's go to look at it on the week. It had, this was sort of the initial rumors of an escalation. And ironically, it's happened on Friday both times, these moves higher. And you can see where we are now. Back up to that level. And then what happened is, it didn't happen over the weekend. And then USO came in a little bit. Oil prices, crude oil came in. And now we are having that same story. So the question is if that did happen, what happens to the market? What happens to oil? Is oil getting ahead of this? So that is the unknown about today. And I think it probably has something to do with not it's not just JP Morgan dragging stocks down. I think people are a little bit nervous about getting caught off sides on a that type of war story hitting the tape during the day. And of course, that could affect the close into the close. So just something to be aware about. Now, of course, vol is sort of reflecting that. Like that's pretty high 0 DTE vol, that 30 vol, an expected move of 0.6%, where on a day where we're down 0.6%, which isn't a massive move, that is pretty high vol. So if you were selling premium, you're getting decent levels here, and you're getting decent. Well, let's go in and let's check it out. So let's take the iron condor. Yesterday we peaked on the market around, let's call it 52.10 or something. So let's do this. Let's go in on an iron condor and let's take the short call side up and protect against yesterday's highs. So that is 52.15. And on the short put side, let's take this down. Let's go to 51.20, take this down to 51.25. So right now we're looking at a short put of 51.25 and a short call of 52.15. Now you could make this 100 points wide, and let's go up. We'll take this to 52.25. Okay, so now we're looking at a 52.25 to the upside, 51.25 to the downside. This gives you an indication of that 30 vol, that 30 DTE vol, is you could get strikes 100 points wide, which was essentially the expected move for the last couple of days going into Friday. You can still get a decent risk reward at those levels for today. And what that is probably a lot of that has to do with that Israel-Iran story. And if it happens, the market could move. Don't get me wrong. And USO could spike even more. But there's a chance that nothing happens today. USO is up ahead of itself. Maybe the market's ahead of itself. And you could see a rally back to 5,200 at a big center of gravity. If it does happen, if we do see something today, or if people get really worried about it definitely happening over the weekend and they sell before the close, obviously that 5,100 level is what you would worry about if things got ugly, and the 5,150 level could become that center of gravity into the close if nothing happens, yet people are worried.